What's going on YouTube? So there is a battle going on for the toughest truck in the world, and I might just be standing next to the new #1. This is the Ram 1500 TRX or T-Rex, and it has its sights set firmly on the Ford F-150 Raptor, especially with its 702 horsepower supercharged V8. So is this the toughest and most badass truck money can buy? Let's go ahead and find out. Alright, so before we get into the capability, let's start off with the exterior styling, because that's a very important part of what makes this so special, is just how cool this thing looks. For starters, this is going to be 8 inches wider than the regular Ram, and you can tell that right as soon as you walk up to this. This just has a very mean and menacing look to it. Also accentuating that is the fact that the grille up here in the front has actually been narrowed down versus what you get on the Rebel, which kind of looks a little bit similar to this. And as you look at the grille, you also notice here with the Ram lettering, this actually has pass-through lettering to let air continue to flow through, because this motor is so big it needs all the air it can get, including the gigantic hood scoop up here, which you also notice you have your clearance lamps. Because this is so wide, it needs clearance lamps. And then you also have your TRX branding up here on the top. Now, as we go over here to our headlights, we're going to notice full LED headlights, as you would expect on something so expensive. These do have adaptive abilities as well. And then down here below that, you have LED fog lamps. And down here, this is a fitting place to start mentioning some of our capabilities. For one, you'll notice the bottom part here is going to be finished in a real metal skid plate. This is one of actually 5 skid plates that this model has. You also have your large solid tow hooks right here in the front. And then let's talk about the ground clearance. So you actually have 2 inches more ground clearance than the regular Ram. That's going to bring your total up to 11.8 inches. As far as the fording depth that you can go into water with, that's going to be 32 inches. So you can really go into a lot of really deep water. Next up, let's go ahead and talk about the wheel options. You've got 2 different 18-inch alloys you can choose between. These are the optional alloys. As you can see, these are beadlock capable, and they do have a slightly different design. And then wrapped around them are tires made specifically for this TRX. So these are 35-inch Goodyear Wrangler Territory tires. Of course, these are all-terrain, so they have very rugged tread. And the other thing I want to point out in this area is how much wheel travel you have at each wheel. So when you jump this thing, and you definitely should if you own it, when you jump this can compress 13 inches at each wheel. So that's absolutely insane, but definitely makes this a great vehicle that you could use on a high-speed desert road, for instance. And then coming up here to your mirrors, I don't know if you really care exactly what these have, but you do have pretty much all the features as a fully loaded limited model, including blind spot monitoring, heating, and power folding.
Alrighty, so here at the side, I do want to mention how you can get the TRX. It's going to be crew cab only and with the 5-foot 7-inch bed. So we'll just go ahead and get that out of the way. And then I do also want to mention that you can get a 2-tone paint scheme for the TRX. It gives it a really cool look. This one's just the fully blacked out version. Now coming around to the rear itself, this is a really, really cool looking Ram is all I gotta say. I love the look of the Ram, and this just kind of amps it up quite a few notches. So something you're gonna notice, we have giant Ram spelled out across the back. You're not gonna mistake it for anything else. And then we have our TRX branding here on the left side. If we look over at our taillights, these are gonna have a smoked finish for the TRX. They are still gonna be full LED though. The reverse light, the turn signal, and the brake light are all LED. Then if we drop down here, you're gonna notice that we have 5-inch exhaust dual, and it pumps out, what a sound. I mean, it is so incredibly loud. Now it is a pickup truck after all, so I do need to open up the bed. You are going to have a standard dampened tailgate, and it is also lined very nicely. This particular model has the cover on it, and you're going to have all of your signature Ram stuff. You can even option on Ram boxes for the TRX. And shutting that up, the tow rating is going to be a little over 8,000 pounds for this model. Now, Ram is going to throw in forward emergency braking standard equipment on the TRX. However, I would highly advise you get the advanced safety group, which is going to throw in your rest of your safety systems like lane keeping assist, auto high beams, and adaptive cruise control. Well, as you can see, the Ram TRX is certainly something on the outside. It is a really slick truck. But now let's go ahead and check out the inside before we take it out in a spin, which I know is the part you're waiting on. And before we do all of that, please hit that subscribe button down below. We have tons of automotive content that you need to check out.
So walking up to this beast, you will find, of course, a standard intelligent entry system. We do have a special TRX branded key fob, which looks very nice. And then if you choose the equipment group 2, that's going to throw in remote start as well. Then to get inside, just grab behind the handle. And then when we open it up, you will find a really cool and really luxurious cabin. So it shares actually a lot of components with the fully loaded limited model, and then a ton of special touches that you get with the TRX. Now in terms of your cabin materials, you're going to have a couple different choices. This comes standard with a cloth and vinyl seat. However, as you can see with this specific model, fully loaded, we have a leather seat. The entire thing is going to be leather except for a little Alcantara here on the bolster. We have a color contrasting gray. Of course, you've got your TRX branding right up there. Big bolsters hold you in place. This is a very, very nice seat. And as far as the actual adjustments themselves, this is going to be 10-way power adjusting with 4-way lumbar support. Now turning over here to your door trim. Again, very nicely finished. So we have a nice leather across the armrest with the stitching detail. We have Alcantara that goes all through here, as well as a perforated Alcantara in the middle. And we also have the optional carbon fiber on this model. It is going to be full leather along the top. Got real metal speaker grills. And then your front 2 windows will be one-touch auto up and down. Now, we actually don't have running boards on this specific example. Obviously that helps you have the maximum amount of clearance off-road. That also means that someone short like myself, it's going to be difficult to get inside. So I'm going to try to do this with the camera. Basically you have to grab on this handle here and just hoist yourself in. There we go. So it's not too bad. But yeah, returning our attention here to the cabin. This is a very luxurious place. Like I said, this is a fully loaded example, so we've got all the niceties, including a full leather dashboard with the stitching detail. You got an Alcantara insert up there at the top, carbon fiber accenting through here, more leather on this side, nicely padded. We have a TRX branded area right there, more leather that runs on the lower areas, more leather that runs down here along the console. Got some more carbon fiber trim through here. Basically, this is an extremely nice cabin, you know, that goes toe-to-toe with that fully loaded limited model, except you have all the extra performance bits here with the TRX. Now start up, press that red button. And you're definitely gonna hear that V8 engine right from the very start. But taking a look here at the gauges, first of all, this is the same setup as you get on other Ram products, except of course you have your TRX branding right there at the top. Inside of the 7-inch multifunction display, you're gonna find additional types of information. So as you can see, what we had pulled up there is performance pages. You also have some off-road functions, as well as your, of course, general information and your speedometer. As we pull back here to the steering wheel, we have a special steering wheel as well. Very nice looking. I love this steering wheel. Thick rimmed, perforated leather on the sides. It is actually squared off a little bit for good grip. You have Alcantara inserts as well as that genuine carbon fiber along the top and the sides there. We also have real metal paddle shifters. These are kind of interesting because if you look on the back, because Chrysler products put their controls for the audio in the back, it's actually split into two pieces, so you have a top and a bottom paddle shifter. Now, as far as the wheel itself, it's going to be manual tilt and telescoping, and then it is heated on our model with equipment group 2. Now, let's go ahead and look next at interior storage. So, start off with our center console here. You'll notice, of course, you've got that custom plate there that's going to tell you your VIN number as well as some specific information about this unit, because these are special, every one of them that comes off the assembly line. We've got a upper storage area here, felt lined USB port. Then down below that is where you get to your broader amount of interior storage. So this is a gigantic console, lots of space, a little rubber lining at the bottom as well. And then we get out our thickest stack of coupons we could come up with. It's still a joke. I mean, I can stick those in there, don't even have to fold them, and it just swallows them up, absolutely no problem. Now, one of the things with the TRX is actually have a more traditional console arrangement. So we have a traditional shifter instead of the console mounted shifter on the other versions of the Ram. That being said, it's not really going to hamper your storage because you still have your 2 cup holders there. Large storage area here in the front. This does double as a wireless phone charging pad. You got a little bit of storage right there, and then 4 USB ports and an aux jack. And coming back to the shifter, like I said, this is the only model with a console mounted shifter. Of course, that means a simple operation, so you're going to pull back for drive, bump over here to the S to shift manually here, or with those paddles I already pointed out. And then for reverse, that is going to be your backup camera. This fully loaded model comes with the 360-degree camera system, so you've got that view as well as your traditional view. You can switch between several different angles as well. And what you're hearing right there is the rear cross traffic alert going off, which this does have as well. And then up here on the part of the dashboard where the shifter is on the other trim levels, this is where you're going to notice a lot of different buttons. So you've got off-road modes and basically street performance modes with this. So you can go over here and so you can start to customize different things. So you have towing, snow, paddle shifters, stability control, performance gauges, all types of different options through there. Of course, you've got all your 4-wheel drive controls, and you also have a really cool button there called launch mode, because that's right, this is a truck that has launch mode. And let's talk about the gigantic display right here in the middle, because that controls pretty much the main remaining parts of the interior. So inside of this display, this is a 12.3-inch display, and you've got things like your climate controls. You do also have physical buttons for those things along the side, so you don't have to use it inside the display exclusively, but you can click the climate button there and make adjustments through that method. Controls is where you're going to find some of your additional settings for things like your heated seats. On the TRX, you have standard 3-stage heated seats. Ventilated seats come in our equipment group 2. And then you also notice we have a physical dial for the audio system. So again, there's going to be 2 different options. This being fully loaded, won't surprise you, we have the 19-speaker Harman Kardon sound system, and we'll go ahead and give that a sample right now. Yeah, so just like in the limited model, the sound quality of the system is absolutely superb. Just a wonderful sounding sound system, full and very rich. And of course, you've got those metal speaker grills I already pointed out, so you know I'm a big fan of that. Okay, so talking about the broader part of the infotainment system, this is actually going to be Uconnect 4C, so this is not quite the newest Uconnect 5 system. However, I would expect to see an update on this relatively shortly. As far as how this works, very simple. You've got just these shortcut buttons along the bottom here that you can go between the different sections. When you head into apps, this is where you're going to notice some special touches for this TRX. For instance, we have performance pages. So this is going to give you all the basically different performance specs and things that you want to see live as they happen. So this is a super cool thing, and this is the first time this has been applied to a truck. Now jumping up here, we've got a special mirror. This is the rear camera mirror. So you flip that switch there, it cuts out all your back obstructions. Otherwise it is auto dimming as well, and you've got, home link universal remotes right there. And then finally up here at the top, you'll notice we have a full panoramic sunroof. So this thing is all about performance, but it also really pampers you with luxury.
Alrighty guys, I'm in the Ram TRX's rear seat, and well, this is pretty much like a Ram Limited, which is certainly an amazing compliment because that is one of the best seats that you can get in any car. So let's talk about the space first. We have 45 inches of rear legroom, 40 inches of rear headroom. That really places it at, well, that's the top end of the entire truck segment, and really that's about as large as you can get in any production vehicle as far as the legroom figures are concerned. My feet can barely even reach the seat, and I'd say I probably have 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet of space between my knees and the seat back. Now, as far as other comfort features, these seats can also recline. So if we pull this down, we can recline it out and really just elevate the luxury of this rear area. In the center, we have some carbon fiber trim up top for the TRX, and then down below that we have standard vents. We're also going to have standard heated seats on the TRX. We also have ventilated seats. That's included with the equipment group 2. That we also have 2 USB Type-Cs, 2 charging USBs, and a household outlet below that. And then we also have this little storage cubby. And if we fold down the center armrest, we're going to have a nice Alcantara wrapped storage cubby, and we could definitely fit our coupons back here as well if you couldn't find another spot to put them within this cabin. Now, it does still retain all the good truck qualities, so we have this little storage cubby right here that you can throw pretty much anything. If you had floor mats over top of that, no one would ever find anything. And then you can lift this up, and we're actually able to store all of our camera gear underneath of the seats. So as you can tell, that's a lot of space, and it is hidden from view. Now here at your passenger seat, as you would expect, it is going to be power adjusting. We even have the lumbar support. Up top, we have some big TRX branding, and then we have a nice felt line storage cubby right here. And then we can also open up the glove box, which is also nicely felt lined. And this is the place that the coupons can fit in. They have no issues. It's a very wide, it's not super deep, but it is definitely wide enough to fit them in. And then up top, we have a gigantic sun visor with a mirror as well as lighting, and we can detach it and extend.
Okay. Well, we knew that would be fast, but when you're behind the wheel, it's shocking, frankly. Yeah, so that's what happens when you throw a Hellcat motor into the Ram 1500. And you have 702 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque.
Which does take the cake. This is the most horsepower we've ever driven in a vehicle. 702. That's up there.
Yeah, this is crazy powerful.
Wow. Now, if you're curious as what that goes 0 to 60, it pulls this massive and super heavy Ram truck up to 60 in 4.5 seconds.
That's like almost the only words that your mouth can form is just, wow. This is bonkers.
It's crazy.
Absolutely bonkers.
You hear the supercharger so much, it's very pronounced. There's no mistaking that this is a supercharged motor. Wow.
Now Now, when you can stop giggling and drive like a normal person, you can drive here on the highway, and you'll notice it feels pretty normal, actually.
Yeah, no. Honestly, you could forget maybe that you're in a TRX if you didn't see all the branding. I mean, honestly, this ride's very similar to the Ram that we tested out earlier in the year. It's not quite as smooth as the air suspension in the Ram Limited as you would expect, but you do also have just a whole slew of different dampening to help make this off-road capable. So you have those 2.6-inch shocks in the front, and I mean, it really it still rides really good, because as you would expect with an off-road truck, if you hit something like a bump in the road, it just soaks it up. It never even makes it into the cabin. It doesn't have a chance.
Right, exactly. So it's actually very comfortable.
Yeah.
And you know, the control is actually pretty good. But of course, if you buy one of these, please take it off-road. That's where it belongs. Even when you're not going fast, that sound.
Yeah. Wow.
So the transmission is an 8-speed automatic. It has been, of course, thoroughly enhanced for TRX duty, so it basically is a lot stronger to handle all of that torque that you're throwing at it.
650 pound-feet.
Yeah. You know, and just continuous abuse, which these will be subject to, no doubt.
Sure.
And you do have the biggest brakes in the segment as well.
Yeah.
15-inch vented rotors in the front.
You have a little bit of brake dive and nose lift when you take on and off, as you would expect out of something this big. It is, of course, going to be four-wheel drive only. You would expect no less out of the TRX. And that's really taking off as soft as you can here.
Gentle.
Yeah. You might want to do that a little bit more often, because the fuel economy, as you would expect for this model, is not great. It's definitely going to be quite a bit behind that Raptor that this really goes to compete against. It's going to be 10, 14, 12. So it's hard to say that with a straight face. I think that might be some of the lowest ratings I've ever gotten out of like a new car, but it does avoid the gas guzzler tax since this is a full-size pickup truck, so you don't have to pay any additional taxes or anything for that, you know, bad fuel economy. You're just going to be paying more at the pump.
A slam dunk and airball. So for the slam dunk, how could it be anything except this motor? This is like God's gift to internal combustion. It just kind of feels like the ultimate expression of internal combustion before we, you know, start heading towards our electric future.
Yeah.
This is like the middle finger to electric cars. And it's so much fun.
It's amazing. Now, the airball we're going to say today is going to be the availability of the TRX. Ram, make more of these, please. You know, right now they're pretty limited availability. I assume it might get better with time, but it's very difficult to buy one of these. The sticker price is already quite a bit more expensive than the Raptor, for instance, and that factored in with like low availability, and you have dealer markup, makes this quite a bit more out of reach than the Raptor. But we can go ahead and talk about the price on the sticker. The TRX is going to be starting at $70,325. That does come standard with four-wheel drive, as I mentioned earlier. And this one, as equipped, we have, I think, every option that you can get, and it's coming in a little under $90,000 at $89,000 and some change. So
I think the question that we asked at the beginning was basically, is this the most badass, tough truck that money can buy? Of course, today with this dealer vehicle, we're not going off-road or anything. But as far as basically a review of everyday livability, you know, this is something that you could live with every day and still be super tough, go anywhere when you decide to do that? The answer is definitely yes. This thing here absolutely rocks. It is so, it's so cool that, I mean, it's like you have trouble even like articulating how cool it is.
Yeah.
With this supercharged V8, all this power, so tough, so rugged. Yes, I absolutely, it would just be a great vehicle for anybody who has the means to own.
Well guys, that's going to wrap up this in-depth review of the massive, as you can see, about head length with this Ram TRX. Obviously, this is a pretty awesome truck, so we want to especially thank Bob Allen Chrysler for letting us take a look at this rare Ram TRX. If you enjoyed watching this video, we have tons more automotive content on our channel. We have really cool stuff like this vehicle. We also have regular ordinary vehicles on there as well. So whatever you're interested in, we have on the channel. So be sure to hit that subscribe button. Also tap the notification bell and check out all of our other content. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.